the incredible and troubled story of Paul Pogba, from heaven to hell in football. There are stories in football that make us question whether pure talent is enough to guarantee a brilliant career. Paul Pogba's trajectory is one of those stories that leaves us torn between admiration and frustration. From a very young age, Paul Pogba was seen as a football genius. A boy who, even as a teenager, already showed refined technique, impressive physical strength, and game vision capable of changing the fate of any match. But the trajectory of this player, who promised to be one of the greatest in history, ended up becoming a roller coaster of glories and dramatic falls that makes us reflect on the tortuous paths that football can take. This is the story of a misunderstood genius, of dreams realized and opportunities wasted. A story that shows us how football can elevate someone to the heights and, at the same time, be cruel enough to destroy careers. And before we continue, go ahead and subscribe to the channel, leave your like, and comment what you think about Pogba's story. This really helps our channel grow and bring more incredible stories from world football. The first steps of a prodigy. Our story begins in the small town of Lagny-sur-Marne, on the outskirts of Paris, where Paul Pogba was born on March 15, 1993. Son of Guinean parents who migrated to France in search of better opportunities, Paul grew up in a humble family that always believed in the potential of their children. From his first kicks of the ball, it was evident that Paul had something special. At 6 years old, he already demonstrated impressive motor coordination and a passion for football that was contagious to everyone around him. His parents, Yo Moriba and Farsou Antoine, quickly realized that their son had a unique gift. Pogba began his journey in organized football at US Roissy-en-Brie, a regional amateur club. Even among older boys, Paul stood out. It wasn't just his technical ability that caught attention, but also his capacity to read the game, anticipate plays, and create opportunities where others saw only obstacles. In 2007, at 14 years old, Pogba took his first major step toward professionalism by joining Le Havre, a traditional French club known for its excellent youth development. It was there that young Paul began to refine his skills under specialized technical guidance. At Le Havre, Pogba wasn't just another promising talent, he was talent. Experienced coaches were impressed with his ability to control the ball with both feet, his precise long-distance passes, and especially his exceptional tactical intelligence for a boy his age. The Manchester United-Juventus saga. In 2009, still a teenager, Paul Pogba became the object of desire for Europe's biggest clubs. Barcelona, Real Madrid, Arsenal, and Manchester United fought a real war for the services of the young Frenchman. The final choice fell on Manchester United, which managed to convince Pogba and his family with an ambitious project and the promise of gradual development. But the reality at Old Trafford was different from what was promised. Under the command of legendary Alex Ferguson, Pogba found a competitive environment where opportunities were scarce. Ferguson, known for his rigidity with young prospects, showed no rush to promote the Frenchman to the main team. Internal conflicts intensified when Pogba publicly questioned the lack of opportunities, especially after seeing players he considered technically inferior get chances in the first team. The tension between the young Frenchman and the veteran Scottish manager became unsustainable. In 2012, at 19 years old, Pogba made a decision that would completely change his career: leave Manchester United for free and sign with Juventus Turin. The decision shocked the football world and generated severe criticism from Ferguson, who went so far as to declare that the player had shown total disrespect to the club. But it was in Italy that Paul Pogba truly exploded as a player. Under the tutelage of coach Antonio Conte and alongside masters like Andrea Pirlo, Arturo Vidal, and Claudio Marchisio, Pogba transformed into a dominant and complete midfielder. At Juventus, he found the perfect environment to develop all facets of his game. His impressive physical capacity combined with refined technique and mature game vision. Pogba became a specialist in precise long passes, powerful long-distance shots, and spectacular plays that left fans and opponents speechless. During 4 seasons at the Old Lady, Pogba won 4 Italian championship titles, 2 Italian Cups, and 1 Italian Super Cup. More important than the titles, however, was his evolution as a player. He established himself as one of the most complete and influential midfielders in world football. The triumphant return and the challenges. The success at Juventus was so extraordinary that, in August 2016, Pogba starred in one of the biggest and most controversial transfers in football history. Manchester United paid €105 million to re-sign the player they had lost for free 4 years earlier. The irony was palpable. Paul Pogba was returning to the club that had underestimated him, now as the most expensive player in English football history. Expectations were astronomical. With José Mourinho in command and stars like Zlatan Ibrahimovic in the squad, it was believed that Pogba would be the key piece to return Manchester United to the top of world football. The beginning was promising. Pogba demonstrated all his technical quality and leadership, helping United win the Europa League in 2017, the English League Cup, and the Community Shield. His spectacular goals and precise assists reminded fans why he had become so valued in the market. However, problems didn't take long to appear. The relationship between Pogba and José Mourinho began to deteriorate progressively. The Portuguese coach, known for his tactical rigidity, frequently criticized Pogba's attitude on and off the field, questioning his commitment and consistency. Criticism from the English press intensified. Pogba was constantly accused of caring more about his personal image, his flashy haircuts, and his social media activities than his performance in matches. Media pressure became suffocating. To make matters worse, recurring injuries began to affect his performance. Pogba spent long periods in the medical department, losing sequence of games and match rhythm. The frustration was evident both for the player and the fans, who saw their millionaire investment frequently absent from the pitches. World glory with France. While experiencing turbulent ups and downs at Manchester United, Paul Pogba found in the French national team the perfect stage to demonstrate all his potential. Under the command of Didier Deschamps, a coach who always believed in his qualities, Pogba transformed into one of the pillars of the national team. The 2018 World Cup in Russia represented the absolute peak of Paul Pogba's career. Alongside talents like Kylian Mbappé, Antoine Griezmann, and N'Golo Kanté, Pogba assumed the role of maestro of the French midfield. Throughout the tournament, Pogba demonstrated impressive tactical maturity. His long and precise passes constantly fed the French attackers, while his physical presence and ball recovery ability provided defensive balance to the team. In the final against Croatia, in one of the most exciting matches in World Cup final history, Pogba scored a spectacular goal that sealed the French victory 4-2. The moment he lifted the golden trophy represented the realization of a dream cultivated since childhood. That world conquest not only crowned Pogba as champion but also validated all his talent before critics. For a few months, he was universally recognized as one of the best midfielders on the planet, capable of deciding matches at crucial moments. Success with the national team also brought renewed confidence that was temporarily reflected in his performance at Manchester United. Pogba seemed to have finally found the balance between his individual qualities and the collective needs of the team. The decline and controversies. Unfortunately, the shine of the world conquest didn't last long. Shortly after the 2018 title, the problems that plagued Pogba began to multiply dramatically and devastatingly. Injuries became more frequent and more serious. Pogba began to constantly deal with muscle problems, ankle injuries, and other physical issues that drastically limited his playing time. The frustration of not being able to maintain a sequence of matches profoundly affected his emotional state. Parallel to physical problems, extremely delicate personal issues emerged that completely shook the player's emotional structure. In 2022, a shocking case came to light. Pogba was being blackmailed by very close people, including his own brother Matthias. The family situation deteriorated publicly and humiliatingly. Matthias Pogba made serious accusations against Paul on social media, alleging that his brother had hired a witch doctor to disrupt Kylian Mbappe's career in the French national team. The accusations were absurd, but the damage to Paul's reputation was immense. The blackmail involved millions in amounts and direct threats to Pogba and his family's safety. The player was forced to pay enormous sums of money to protect his loved ones, which generated deep psychological trauma that drastically affected his performance on the field. In 2022, Pogba left Manchester United once again, this time returning to Juventus with the hope of rediscovering the form that had made him famous. However, injuries continued to plague him, drastically limiting his appearances for the Italian team. The final blow and reflection. The final blow to Paul Pogba's career came in September 2023, when he tested positive for testosterone in an anti-doping test. The news shocked the football world and practically sealed the fate of one of the most promising talents of his generation. The initial suspension was 4 years, a punishment that, considering Pogba's age, effectively represented the end of his career at the highest level. At 30 years old, the French midfielder saw his professional trajectory end in a melancholic and controversial way. Paul Pogba will always be remembered as a player who possessed all the physical, technical, and mental qualities to become an absolute legend of world football. He was a complete midfielder in the broadest sense of the word. He could score, create plays, defend, lead, and inspire teammates. But his story also serves as a cruel reminder that talent alone is not enough in modern football. Pogba became a symbol of wasted opportunities, of potential not fully realized, and of how external circumstances can bring down even the most gifted players. His trajectory makes us question, was Pogba a misunderstood genius who suffered from external pressures and devastating personal problems, or was he himself responsible for not being able to maintain the consistency necessary to establish himself among the greatest in history? Perhaps the answer lies somewhere between these two perspectives. Paul Pogba was, simultaneously, a victim of circumstances and a protagonist of his own choices. His story is a reminder that, in football, as in life, talent needs to be accompanied by discipline, luck, and, above all, perseverance in the face of adversity. Paul Pogba's story will remain as one of the most fascinating and controversial cases in modern football, the narrative of a genius who touched the sky but couldn't stay there long enough to be eternalized among the true immortals of the sport. And now I want to know from you, was Pogba a misunderstood genius who had bad luck, or was he himself responsible for the fall of his career? Leave your comment down below, because your opinion is very important to our channel. If you liked this video, go ahead and leave a like, share it with friends, and subscribe to the Football Legends channel so you don't miss any epic stories from the world of football.